welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here then hello and welcome. My name's Alexis and today I want to share with you 4 alternatives to turkey this Christmas. As I just mentioned, today I want to share with you my 4 alternatives to turkey this Christmas. So my husband, son and I have decided that we're not going to have a turkey this Christmas. We've decided to have chicken instead. We like turkey, but we're not that big of fans of it, and we much prefer chicken. So we're going to have a roast chicken dinner with all of the trimmings this year. And that got me to thinking that there might be people out there who also feel the same and they don't really like turkey or chicken. So I've come up with 4 alternatives that could help you this Christmas. These are just ideas, you don't have to use these recipes, but I will link the recipes in the description box below for you. So here are my 4 alternatives to turkey this Christmas. I'm going to do is check that the gammon actually fits inside this pot. Just about. I don't know if that's... Shall I leave it like that? I might have to cut this in half and put it into 2 pots, I think. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cut this in half. Cut this in half and I'm just going to lie it in 2 pots. And I'm going to pour 2 litres of water onto each gammon. So I'm going to leave it to soak overnight. So I'll do this one. I'll show you what I do to this one. So I've left this in 2 litres of water, and then I'm going to add some bay leaves to this. And then I'm also going to add 6 to 8 cloves. The cloves make it taste really nice. And it smells gorgeous as well. It smells just like Christmas when you put these in. So I'm going to do that. And then I've also got 6 to 8, I've probably got about 8 peppercorns in there as well. So I'm just going to put that there. And then I'm going to put the lid on and I'm going to leave these to soak now overnight, and then I will cook them in the morning. So I've left the gammons to soak in water overnight, and I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Now I'm just going to drain these, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do after that. So that's 1 drained, and that's the second one drained. That done. So now that these are drained, I'm going to pour fresh water on them, so if I don't spill it everywhere. So I'm just going to pour fresh water on both of these. Oh, it smells like Christmas already. I can smell the cloves in this, it's really yummy. Right, pour water so it covers them. Oh, spilling it everywhere. So it covers both of them, and then what you do is simply put the lids back on and then put them on, both of them on a high heat, and then bring them to the boil basically. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to leave these and bring them to the boil. So both of these have been brought to the boil now, and all I'm going to do is turn the heat down and leave these to simmer for about 30 minutes. So while the gammons are simmering on the hob, I'm going to preheat the oven to 180 degrees. Both of these have been boiling for 30 minutes now, or simmering for 30 minutes should I say, and now I'm going to drain them again, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next after that. But it really does smell quite yummy in here now. It smells like Christmas all of a sudden. Yum yum. So now I'm going to remove the gammons from the pans, and I'm going to put them in these baking trays. And what I'm going to do is I'm also going to remove the string from the outside as well. Remove the string. And then I'm going to wrap them in tin foil. I'm just going to wrap that in tin foil. And the oven is now preheated, so I'll take you over to the oven now. So I'm going to put these into the oven for about 30 minutes. And these are going in on 180 degrees. I'm baking for 30 minutes now, and I'm just going to take the tin foil off of both of them. And then I'm going to put these back in the oven for about 5 to 10 minutes just to brown the tops off. So I'll do that now. I've removed the gammon from the oven and I've let it sit and rest for about 30 minutes, I think. So I'm now going to carve it. First thing I'm going to do is preheat the oven to about 220 degrees. The oven is now preheating. It's been preheating for about half an hour or so, and I've just been preparing my ingredients before I put the chicken in. So I also put the baking tray into the oven as well to preheat the baking tray. But now what I'm going to do, the baking tray is very hot, but now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add some onions. So I've got 1 large onion and I've got 3 cloves of garlic, and I'm going to add those to the bottom of the baking tray. And then I'm going to add, it says in the book 3 to 5 sprigs of rosemary, so I'm going to add 4 in there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the chicken on top of all of that. I'm going to leave that there, and I'm just going to go and wash my hands now. So the chicken is in the roasting tray, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the beer into the baking tray as well. Now this is a gluten-free beer, and it does say in the recipe 500 mils. We couldn't get 500 mils, we could only get 2 of these 330 mils. So I'm just going to use 330 mils of beer for now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some olive oil over the top. And again, I'm going to use my hands to do this. And I'm just going to rub the olive oil into the chicken. Oh, I can smell the beer now. It smells really nice. So I'm just going to rub the olive oil all over the chicken as much as I possibly can. I'm just going to go and wash my hand again. And now I'm going to sprinkle some salt over the top as well. Just a couple of pinches of salt, maybe a teaspoon or 2. And then I'm going to put some pepper on this as well. So the chicken will be well seasoned. And now I'm going to put this into the oven for about an hour and about 20 minutes, I say. The chicken is cooked. It's looking lovely and golden brown right now. So what I'm going to do is just poke it with a stick with this skewer, and I'm just going to tap it a little bit just to make sure that the juices are running clear. Yeah, juices are running clear. So that chicken is cooked, so I'm going to take it out of the oven now. The chicken is out of the oven, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this from the baking tray. So I'm going to just remove the chicken completely, and I'm going to leave it to sit and rest. And the juice from this, I'm now going to pour into a small saucepan, and I'm going to try and get everything in that small saucepan as well. So I'm just going to pour this into a saucepan. In it all goes. That's lovely. And I'm going to go and put that on the hob now. I've added all of the juice from the bottom of the baking tray to a small saucepan, and I've also added in about 500 mils of chicken stock as well. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more beer to that. So I'm just going to add this in while it's on the hob. And I'm going to turn the hob on. Oh, silly me. I'm going to turn this on to a very high heat. And I'm going to bring this to the boil. And I'm also going to add 2 tablespoons of my homemade Tommy K, and that recipe I will put in the description box below for you. I'm just going to add this in now as well. And I'm also going to add 2 tablespoons, I put the wrong thing on, silly me. It's this one I need to put on. Right, and I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of tasmari, which is like soya sauce. I'm gluten intolerant, so that's why I'm using tasmari, but you can use soya sauce if you want to, if you haven't got a gluten intolerance like me. And I forgot to mention that I'm also using gluten-free beer as well to make the gravy with. So I'm just going to stir this round now. And as I said, I'm going to bring this to the boil, which shouldn't take too long, and then I'm just going to leave it to simmer while I leave my chicken to rest. This has started to boil now, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the heat down and I'm going to leave this to simmer. It's been simmering while I've left the chicken to sit and rest, and now all I'm going to do is pour it through a sieve into a jug. And thankfully that will fit. And that is my dad's beer gravy. So I just thought I'd carve a bit of this chicken and see how it tastes. Make sure it's properly cooked in the middle. Oh yeah, that's done. That looks lovely. Oh yeah. So I'm just going to try a bit of this chicken now and see how it is. Hopefully it should taste of the beer as well. Yeah, that's really good. So I'm going to preheat my oven to 160 degrees. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a large pan on a high heat, and I'm going to add some oil to the base of that pan, just a little bit, and then I'm going to spread that round with a plastic brush now. I'm just going to spread that as evenly as I can until the base of the pan is all coated in the oil. And now I'm going to leave this to heat up. So the bottom of the pan is heating nicely. I can hear the oil sizzling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my onions that I sliced and diced up. So I just used 1 large onion. And I'm just going to fry this until it starts to soften, basically. This has taken probably about 1 minute to 2 minutes to fry off, but the onion has started to soften now, and it's started to become see-through and clear. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add in my beef stewing steak to that. I'm going to fry this until all the beef stewing steak has browned now. So every piece of this beef stewing steak needs to be like a brown colour before I'll move on. So the beef stewing steak, as you can see, is a lovely brown colour now. So I'm going to add in my vegetables. So I've got the carrots and the celery in this bowl, and I'm going to add in this as well. And I'm just going to stir this round, just to get some heat through the vegetables. That's all I'm doing this for. Thicken the gravy that's going to be in this dish with these vegetables and this meat. So now I've done that, I'm going to add in my bone broth or chicken stock or vegetable stock. I did say bone broth in the book, but you can use chicken stock or vegetable stock if you want to. And then I'm also going to put in 2 tablespoons of tomato puree into that as well. That's sizzling away nicely there. And then I'm also going to put in 2 tablespoons of tamari or soya sauce if you can't get tamari. Tamari is normally in like the Asian section, or it is in the gluten-free section. So this has no gluten in it, whereas soya sauce does have gluten in it, unfortunately. so that's why I use it. And then I've got 2 tins of tomatoes as well that I'm going to put in. Adding in 2 tins of tomatoes now. I'm going to stir these vegetables round. Oh, I've forgotten to put in my garlic. Never mind, I can put it in with the bay leaves, it's okay. Yeah, you're normally meant to fry off the garlic as well. But don't worry too much if you forget like me, just throw it in at the end, it'll be fine. It all tastes the same. It will taste the same. So now I'm going to add in my bay leaves as well, and I'm also going to add in the garlic that I should have added in earlier, but never mind. And I'm going to stir those around as well, and the bay leaves do give it a really good flavour as well. We're quite lucky, we have a bay leaf tree in the back garden that I planted when we first moved in, and I love going out there and picking fresh bay leaves. It even grows during winter as well, so it's quite a hardy plant. It will grow any time of the year in any type of soil as well. And then I'm going to add in some thyme. So there is loads of flavour to this, and I'm just going to peel back the leaves from the thyme, and I'm going to put those in. So I'm just going to do this now. So to peel back the leaves, what you do is you just pull down the stalk, so backwards down the stalk. So you grab a bit and you just pull backwards down the stalk, like so. Doesn't matter if you get a bit of stalk in there. My husband and son will probably complain, but I won't. I'm just going to turn this heat down a little bit as well now, because it is boiling away quite nicely. So I've turned it down to a medium heat, but I might turn it down to a low heat in a second. I'm just going to put these in. So I've added the thyme now, and what I'm going to do is turn this down again to a very low heat. I'm going to add salt and pepper as well. You can add as much salt and pepper as you like, to your taste basically, and then a bit of salt as well. And then I'm going to get the lid for this pan, and I'm going to put it on, and I'm going to put it in the oven for about 2 hours now. So the beef stew has been cooking nicely in the oven for about 2 hours now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my spinach. So I've just got a bowl, like a handful or 2 of spinach, and I'm just going to mix that around with the stew. Oh, it feels lovely, actually. The meat is all tenderised in this pan as well, because it's been slow cooking in the oven, and it's really nice. It smells yummy as well. So I've let that wilt down, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop this back into the oven with the lid on still for another 10 minutes or so, just to let it cook for a little bit longer. So that's my dad's beef stew done, and I'm going to be serving this with mashed potato this evening, so I'm really looking forward to that. I do love beef stew and mashed potato, I have to say, and I've done a video and a recipe on the best mashed potato, so I will link that in the description box below, and I'll also link the beef stew in the description box below too. Is preheat the oven, and now I'm going to put the pork into the roasting tray. I'm said in this recipe to use tin foil, but I'm actually trying to be a bit more environmentally friendly. So after 20 minutes you're meant to cover the pork in tin foil, but I'm actually using a lid today. As I said, I'm just trying to be a bit more environmentally friendly and a bit more conscious of waste and stuff. I find tinfoil, when I use tinfoil, it's an awful waste. So yeah, that's why I'm using a lid today. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the rosemary. So I've picked some sprigs of rosemary from the garden. We're quite lucky, we have this growing in the garden, and if you do want to grow this is a great herb to grow because it does grow anywhere. The soil doesn't have to be brilliant for it to grow, so it's a good herb to grow in the garden. So I've got about 5 or 6 sprigs of rosemary, and then I've got about 8 garlic cloves, just whole garlic cloves, and I'm just going to put those in the bottom. And then what I'm going to do is get the pork and I'm going to place that on top of everything in the pan, and then I'm going to rub olive oil over the top. Now you can use as much or as little as you like. Also, I forgot to say that the butcher has already scored my like fat on the top. So basically he's got a knife and he's run along the top. He's careful not to cut into the meat. So he's scored the meat for me, so I don't have to do that. But if you do want to do it, then I suggest about 1 centimetre apart, and you just run a knife along the top and that scores the meat. So I'm just going to rub the olive oil in. I think I might add just a little bit more actually. So just add a little bit more. I'd probably say about a tablespoon of olive oil is probably good. And then I've got to go and get some salt, so I'm going to go and do that next. So I've grabbed some salt and I'm just going to sprinkle over a teaspoon or 2 of salt on the top. And I'm just going to rub that in. And that will hopefully make the crackling go all nice and crispy and golden brown as well. So as I said, I put the oven on already and I've preheated it to 220 degrees. You need it on really high, and then later on during the cooking we're going to turn it down. So I'm going to take the pork to the oven now. My oven has preheated and it's really warm, so that's great. And I'm going to put this in for 20 to 25 minutes, and then in 25 minutes I'll come back and I'll put the lid on. I've left the pork in for about 20 minutes. Yeah, so I've left the pork in for about 20 minutes and it's started to go really crispy on top, as you can see. So all I'm going to do now is simply put the lid on. Now if you're using tin foil like it says in the book, you just cover it in tin foil, and then I'm going to put this back in the oven, and it's £1. So every like 400 or 500 grams is about 20 minutes. So this will go back into the oven now because it's about 1 kilo 500 grams. So it's going to go in the oven for about an hour now. I also forgot to say that I'm going to turn the temperature down to 180 degrees. And I'm going to leave this to cook now. So the pork has actually been in the oven for well over an hour. I brought it out at the hour and on the hour, and basically it was still bleeding in the middle when I put the skewer in to check that the juices were running clear. So basically pork is like chicken. If the juices run clear, then it's cooked, and the juices are now running clear. So I'm going to take this out of the oven now and leave it to rest. I've left this to sit and rest for about 30 minutes now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the crackling first of all. It's easier to carve if you take off the crackling first. And then all I'm going to do now is just simply carve the meat and see how it is on the inside. Oh yeah, that's lovely. That's really nicely cooked. There is only 3 of us eating this tonight, so we're obviously not going to eat it all. So what I intend to do is I'm going to put some of it in the deep freeze and then use it in other meals. So I'll use the leftovers in things like pork stir fry and stuff. So it doesn't really matter if the slices are too big, because this will be cut into cubes anyway for the pork stir fry. So yeah. And we're going to serve this tonight with roast potatoes and roast parsnips and roast carrots and some cabbage and gravy as well. So looking forward to my dinner, but I thought while I was here I'd try a bit of the crackling just to see how it is. It's really nice and crisp as well. Did you hear it when it snapped then? And now what I'm going to do is try the meat as well. Oh yeah, that's really lovely and tender and juicy as well. So looking forward to dinner tonight. So that was my 4 alternatives to turkey this Christmas, and as I mentioned earlier, I will link those recipes in the description box below for you. For now, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to leave any comments below. And please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you all soon. Bye.